So how can Penn State afford that $700 million price tag for the Beaver Stadium renovations? It's simple, actually. You.
You are Locked On Nittany Lions, your daily podcast on the Penn State Nittany Lions. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, get ready for some price increases as the Board of Trustees, 26-2, approve those renovations to Beaver Stadium. This is Locked On Nittany Lions. I'm your host, Zach Seyko, and thanks so much for making us your first listen and watch every single day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube. On today's show, we are talking about that $700 million being dedicated to Beaver Stadium, the one amenity that should be on the list, but isn't, a retractable roof. It's not going to happen, but it should. And then in the final segment, a little bit of something very serious, as James Franklin was in the headlines for a case that's been ongoing with a former medical staffer. We'll talk about that in the final segment. And let me know your thoughts in the comments section about the Beaver Stadium renovations. I imagine that 99% of you agree that this needs done, but at what cost? Okay, this is a hefty price tag. Prices are going to go up here. I mean, everything, tickets, parking, concessions, local taxes, you name it, it's going to go up here. The cost is going to be, unfortunately, passed on to the consumer. Part of it anyway, a good chunk of it anyway. Eventually, tuition could. Now, they say no for now. They say no for now, and you don't want to see the students have to pay for Beaver Stadium here, but that could change. Again, this is $700 million that Penn State is going to be investing into Beaver Stadium. Are these changes needed? Absolutely, because of the amenities. I mean, have you seen the renderings? Have you seen the initial renderings? I'll talk about them more at the end of this segment, but they are certainly needed, right? The bathrooms, okay, the quote unquote circulation. Again, I'll get into more of the finite details at the end here. Hey, I am all for improving. I am all for improving Beaver Stadium as this modern day super coliseum. It's one of the best venues in all of the country, and it should remain that way. And I would have voted yes myself. There were other lesser options, if you will, that Penn State could have gone with, and I actually would have been more inclined to vote for those too. However, let me play devil's advocate for a moment, because this is a little bit controversial here that Penn State is taking a gamble like this. This is a gamble. This is a wild investment that they're making. But if I'm going to play devil's advocate here, Jay Paterno is not wrong. Jay Paterno wrote I know a lot of people like to dunk on Jay Paterno on social media, but I think he makes some really good points. He voted no. And I agree with his reasoning on voting for no, even though my vote differs from his, because at some point you have to do something. Beaver Stadium can't be archaic any longer. I think a lot of it has to do with timing. So let me explain. Because the fan experience can be miserable at times, can be very miserable at times. And I'm not even just talking about football games. I'm talking about that Luke Combs concert. That was horrific, trying to go through lines to get to the bathroom, to concessions. But this is what is all the goal of this trying to be fixed. Now, I also understand, obviously, which is why I would have voted with them, what the Board of Trustees are trying to do. Their goal here is to make the best asset on the campus of Penn State University even better, and then the rest will take care of itself. This is a risky move, too, because of timing. So both these things can be true. It's a smart strategy. Build up your best asset to where it's tops, and then everything pays for itself. But at the same time, it is a gamble. Jay thinks the money could be spent better on other things, more effectively, efficiently, right? So he mentions the fact that this is the age of NIL, and if Penn State can generate $700 million in 3 years, this project is supposed to be complete by 2027. However, the university obviously can't pay players directly. That's still against rules and regulations here. But logically, if you can generate this kind of money just like that, why are you losing NIL battles, right? So you're focusing on Beaver Stadium, which I get, okay? That should in turn be able to attract more players, right? High profile players to want to be at Penn State. But I do understand the reasoning behind, hey, why can we have money for this, but not for this? Okay. Logically. Basketball facilities, other sporting arenas, or any sort of structures. Penn State needs a new natatorium, long overdue. I've heard that one for almost half a decade now. Basketball facilities need a desperate facelift. The reason why basketball is so behind is because you are practicing in an auxiliary gym. So Jay Paterno is wondering why nothing is going there, because this 700 million, I understand the reasoning, and that's what I'm trying to communicate here, is that what about 500 million for Beaver Stadium and then 200 million for other select projects, or 600 and 100, right? Where there were other options that I would have been more inclined, if I was a voter, to select in the case of Beaver Stadium. So why can't Penn State use that estimated 700 million to cover a bunch of bases rather than just one in Beaver Stadium? You are investing totally in Beaver Stadium. I get it, what the Board of Trustees are trying to do, but this is why it is risky. The timing of this project is not good. It's not good because the NCAA might cease to exist in a matter of weeks. This court case that it is going to go down, if the settlement and when the settlement is reached, the NCAA will have to file for bankruptcy. And then what happens? You don't know what's going to happen. I imagine that people have been planning for this for weeks, and people much smarter than me know what's going to happen and already have a blueprint in place to kind of adjust to the consequences here. But two conferences have already agreed to the NCAA settlement that would see over $2 billion paid out in damages. Again, the NCAA would have to file for bankruptcy, meaning that all these the power conferences, the Group 5, Divisions 2 and 3, right? Everybody is on their own. What happens? What happens? The Big Ten can and will agree, I think soon. They have to. The big Power 4 conferences is what everybody is looking to. But what this means, the ramifications of this, is that a lot of money is going to be lost in the short term here. So this project is supposed to span over 24, 25, 26, being finished in 27. And Penn State, at least right now, would be on the hook for paying some of those damages because the Big Ten will most likely agree to a settlement. Maybe they do, maybe they don't, right? But I imagine if other Power 4 conferences are doing it, the Big Ten will follow suit. And then what happens when the NCAA doesn't pay out as much money? Every school is going to take a haircut when it comes to revenue. If this plan was to begin in, say, 2030, I know that's so far down the road, but it would be better timing. Timing's everything. Timing is truly everything here. So Penn State is really banking on the fact that you, the fan, will be able to front the bill. The taxpayers can front the bill, and big businesses. So that college football will not be turned on its head. College athletics will not be turned on its head if and when the NCAA does in fact file for bankruptcy. That all of this will survive the shock of what is to come from this NCAA lawsuit. They plan to make up the money in other ways by selling, the rights to big businesses. Okay, those amenities can be sponsored. They're going to have suites. They're going to have they're going to have more upscale, high package seating. Here are the other upgrades for the renovations that some have already, which I've mentioned. Better restrooms. We know that's a must. Increasing the circulation. So there's going to be more elevators, escalators, because it can be pretty log jammed at Beaver Stadium. And then a 21,000 square foot welcome center. 102 new concession stands. 102. That is a lot. The suites and luge boxes are going to be coming to Beaver Stadium, and that's where, hey, the upscale, the donors, right, the mega millionaires can buy and afford that seating, and that's where the money is going to come from. New video boards, new scoreboards, steel and concrete upgrades, and a larger press box for us good old media here. So that is what is planned for Beaver Stadium. I side with the Board of Trustees, even though there is risk to this. And I understand what Jay Paterno is trying to communicate here. And I would have sided with some other options here, but this is what they're going with. And fingers crossed that Penn State is able to make it through any type of storm that occurs after the NCAA concludes this lawsuit. But there is one amenity that is not on this list, but should be: a retractable roof. And today's episode is brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, patience. Formula for winning trophies is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors is everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to its peak performance. From superchargers to roof racks to exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you are into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. And with over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or you get your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car into that MVP and bring home huge victories. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. That's ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. Oh, yeah, Beaver Stadium needs a retractable roof. Why is this such a controversial idea? Every time I have posed this, it's generated laughs, head scratches, people just saying it's downright dumb. Oh, we can't have that. What about tradition, the weather? Penn State would look weak. Can someone find me a good reason why Beaver Stadium shouldn't have a retractable roof? It is a disgrace. It is a disgrace that a venue like Beaver Stadium is used 7 times in the span of 3 months and then remains unused, not used at all, for 9 months out of the year. Other than, okay, you have Top Golf show up, you have a Beaver Stadium concert for the first time in 7 years? So you have those select events here and there. But for a majority of 8 to 9 months out of the year, Beaver Stadium, that can hold over 100,000 people, is not used at all. And a retractable roof is different than a dome. A retractable roof is different than a dome. So I'm not advocating for a dome. I'm advocating for a retractable roof. So there you have the best of both worlds. You have the capability now to use the venue all 12 months out of the year. You are not at the mercy of Mother Nature in central Pennsylvania. It is absolutely ludicrous that a place like Beaver Stadium is just something cool to look at, something to admire for 9 months out of the year. And again, it is being used 7 times within a 3-month span. So it's not like this is every week, every weekend, right? Penn State plays away games, or for a majority of those 3 months. No, 7 select events, and then it goes dormant. So the retractable roof is a win-win for everybody. For Penn State, who's looking for a return on its investment, and the football purists, right? That you can, we can have our football weather, and Penn State needs rain and snow because that is central Pennsylvania football at its finest. I'm totally on board with that. I think that's cool to create that, still have that sentimental, traditional football feel, while at the same time being able to maximize what Penn State is capable of doing. Beaver Stadium holds over 100,000 people, and now you aren't just subjected to events in a 3-month span with maybe a Top Golf or a concert every 5, 6, 7 years. Now, 12 months out of the year, you can hold those kinds of large-scale events. You can hold more concerts. You can hold neutral site games in the winter. You could still do this anyway, but preseason games or hockey events, right? Neutral site professional hockey events at Beaver Stadium. The options are endless. How about Beaver Stadium wrestling duels? Because one of the biggest concerns with holding an outdoor wrestling duel is weather. You don't have that problem if you have a retractable roof. So if Penn State wants to see a return on an investment, you would make it back instantly. And a retractable roof doesn't cost $700 million. Now, it is still very expensive here, and it depends what kind of roof Penn State would want to, company and planning and everything, budgeting. But it's still somewhere in the neighborhood of $300 to $500 million. So now you have that extra $2 million back for other upgrades around campus that I mentioned: basketball facilities, the natatorium. The possibilities are endless, and I am for a retractable roof. It is not stupid. How about the atmosphere impact of it? Penn State, you think Beaver Stadium is loud now? Imagine a Beaver Stadium with the roof in the late part of the season in November, or about a college football playoff home game. Penn State hosting a college football playoff home game. You absolutely have home field advantage in this case. An expanded Thon, you could move Thon from the Bryce Jordan Center to Beaver Stadium. I can maybe that's a little bit of wishful thinking here because Thon's already, pretty condensed as it is with 20,000 people, and to go from to could you get a Beaver Stadium to even get to 50,000 potentially? But these are the types of things that you would be able to do instead of being at the mercy of central Pennsylvania weather. That's my rant about the retractable roof. It's a great idea. It's something that I hope Penn State has at least considered before, and maybe they consider it down the road because now they're all in on the $700 million rebuild. A retractable roof should have been in there, but these people, they know what they're doing. I get it. I do. But I really seriously do like the idea of a retractable roof from the benefit of what Beaver Stadium could be 12 months out of the year instead of 3. Now we have to be a little more serious here, as James Franklin was in the headlines for the wrong reason. There's an ongoing case with former Penn State medical staffers, and here is the latest from those court proceedings coming up on the other side of this break. A former Penn State doctor is alleging that Penn State football head coach James Franklin wanted to take away a scholarship from a player dealing with mental health issues. I am going to tread lightly here. If you're looking for a take, if you're looking for a fiery opinion, you're not going to get that in this segment. This story went viral. This reporting went viral on social media, but of course with no context or anybody else looking for any other information. So my goal here, since this is obviously a very sensitive topic, I am going to just relay the information to all of you. So anybody that is interested in what is going on here can be up to date. So I am not here to carry James Franklin's water, defend him or anything else. I am simply relaying the facts. You can look for the full complete story. Penn Live, the Philadelphia Inquirer, Basic Blues Nation was all over this reporting. So to summarize, a former medical staffer, Pete Seidenberg, testified on Tuesday of this week that Franklin pressured team doctors into changing medical treatment for the football team. One example was the one that I've already highlighted. There was a former player that was dealing with mental health issues, reported of being suicidal, and was receiving psychiatric care. And Seidenberg alleged in the testimony that Franklin wanted this player medically disqualified from the team, meaning that he would have been off scholarship. And, obviously there are significant ramifications from what that would mean. This is all alleged. I also have to be very careful because this is a court case. I cannot misinterpret anything here. Franklin allegedly also pressured doctors into clearing star players quickly, questioned injury lists, and was trying to have players opt for surgeries as opposed to what were deemed as conservative treatments. Now, this is obviously a very damning testimony, except legally at the moment, it's all hearsay. The defense objected many times in this proceeding that this was all hearsay. There has not been any tangible evidence presented to prove that any of this occurred, and the defense claims that the medical treatment remained the same throughout the entire time. So the testimony is trying to prove that Franklin pressured the doctors and the medical treatment, was changed. He was trying to get the medical staff to change what they were doing in their approach. And the defense says, no, that didn't happen. Nothing was changed. Here's the context that was missing from the reportings that went viral on social media, particularly X. This is a 5-year-old case now. This was filed back in 2019. Scott Lynch, the main plaintiff in all of this, is a former Penn State wrestling champ from 1984, and he is suing for wrongful termination, and is seeking compensation for those damages. Now, originally, he was suing Penn State Athletics and James Franklin, but now the case has changed to suing his employer, Penn State Health. I'm here to explain it. I don't have a take on it. I don't have an opinion on it since we don't have a resolution. It may be true. It may not be. Obviously, I don't want it to be. I don't think anybody should want it to be. If this was going on at even around another program, right? You don't want to see that. So let the courtroom settle it. But this case resurfaced again in the headlines, and I want to make sure that my viewers, my listeners, are informed as to what's going on. That's going to do it for this edition of Locked On Nittany Lions. I appreciate you checking out this episode. Join the discussion in the comments section about Beaver Stadium renovations, the retractable roof, and if you have any questions or thoughts on this ongoing case with the medical staff from Penn State. But for more discussions around your favorite Penn State teams, we have some recruiting on the way over the next couple of episodes. So subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Become an everydayer and be on the lookout for more episodes around your favorite Penn State sports teams right here on Locked On Nittany Lions. And once again, thanks so much for checking out this episode of Locked On Nittany Lions. Don't forget, Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's available on Amazon Fire TV and the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus the national experts covering each and every league. You can find Locked On Sports Today now available on YouTube and the free Fire TV channels app.